We are Group 12 of the Biomedical Engineering Department, and our project is on the concept of quantitative pain testing.
To start off, we have to introduce the idea of the thermal grill illusion, the painful sensation occurring when someone touches adjacent bars with alternating patterns of cold and warm stimuli. The device that simulates the sensation is called a thermal grill. Conventionally in the shape of horizontal grills as seen in this figure, water pumps through every pipe alternating hot and cold. Due to thermoreceptors in the nervous system, there is an integration of nociceptive and non-nociceptive channels that, in combination, simulate a painful sensation.
An issue within the healthcare field is the subjectivity of individuals' patients' pain ratings. Since physicians determine treatment paths, including medication based on this subjective pain, this project will explore quantitative pain measurements through the use of thermal grills. Oftentimes, doctors overprescribe medication, which can lead to addiction. In 2018, there were 4 times as many deaths from opioids as 1999. 40% of those were from prescribed medication. Each day of the opioid epidemic, 130 people die. Since every person metabolizes medication differently, by mapping the pathway of pain, there can be a discovery of a pain biomarker. This will enable physicians and healthcare providers to give the proper dosages to prevent from addiction seen post-surgeries or completion of the pain reliever dosages. At the Biosignal Processing and Wearable Device Lab at UConn, subjects were tested using the horizontal grill to stimulate the thermal grill illusion. In this experiment, there were 3 different grills calibrated to different intensities, which were controlled by creating larger temperature gradients between the warm and cold bars. This graph represents the preliminary study results from the experiment. Subjects gave their response to the levels of pain using the Visual Analog Scale, or VAS scores. It is evident that with the higher levels of temperature gradients, the patients would report a higher VAS score. This proves the concept of the thermal grill being used to stimulate pain in a controlled manner. Even so, much of the preliminary data, along with other research sources, only show the illusion in effect with one design.
The project dives deeper into testing different geometries to see which will be the most efficient in simulating the thermal grill illusion. We decided on 2 additional designs of a spiral grill along with circular focus point grill. Along with this, the conventional experimental setup involved pumping heated or chilled water through the pipes in order to achieve the desired temperature. We decided to convert to the use of Joule heating and Peltier cooling to have a more controlled systems for calibrating the temperatures. All in all, we created 3 grills to account for the new temperature controlling methods, which included the horizontal grill as a control.
This visual represents the display of the completed grills. The base of the setup is made of a 14 by 20 centimeter aluminum plate used for cooling. The Peltier device is then attached with thermal paste below the base of the plate along with the heat sinks, which are needed for the efficiency of cooling. The sinks help carry electrons away from the Peltier plate in order to create a cold surface. The base plate protrudes 5 millimeters to which is filled halfway with silicone. A wire is then strung to the desired areas around 10 centimeters to span the entirety for the purpose of Joule heating. Once completed, the remainder of the protrusion is filled with silicone along with an additional layer on top of the metal plate. This creates a safe surface for the subject in which they are not directly interacting with any of the electrically controlled surfaces. All of the electrical components are controlled via Arduino, which incorporates a feedback control using PWM to ensure the desired temperatures are delivered.
Here's the visual of all the grills built in their entirety. Due to COVID-19, much of the needed testing was unable to be completed, which leaves much future progressions for this project. The future hopes for this project is to perform tests on around 15 to 20 subjects, collecting ECG and EDA data. EDA signals are electrodermal signals that collect data from the sweat glands of a subject's hands. This graph represents data from preliminary experimental testing. The green bar indicates the second the subject places their hand onto the grill, and the numbers on top are the VAS scores given by the subjects. As seen in the graph, whenever a subject places their hand on the grill, there's a spike in the EDA data. There is hope that each of the grills will be tested to determine which geometry is the most efficient in creating larger peaks. This result, in combination with ECG and EDA data, can be used to identify a biomarker for pain.